there are categories and the people who migrate. Category number one are class 1 technocrats who want to do technology work, and in India they don't get to do it, therefore they quit. Probably it is justified to some extent. Then there are others who want to migrate because everybody else is migrating. Because of this comparison business. In their lane, in their colony, all the young boys and girls have migrated, therefore they also ought to migrate. If somebody doesn't go, then he is automatically underrated. Nobody will believe that genuinely he did not want to go. They will infer that conveniently that, okay, he is not up to the mark. Professional organizations take pride in saying that in our organization the best performers have no limit, you can reach any level. But that's all bakwas. There is always a glass ceiling. A general middle class entrant can only rise whatever he does up to certain level, and then his head hits glass ceiling. Beyond that you have to be somebody to go further. Fast career rise guy will take off vertically. By the time he is in 40s, he would have hit the glass ceiling. The rate at which he or she has been rising, it gives rise to a belief that he or she will keep earning at that same rate. So they will splurge, they will book swanky flats or bungalows, and those EMIs would still be ticking. Then this event happens suddenly, abruptly, unexpectedly. Actually, why it ought to be unexpected is a mystery to me. You look around in the company where you are working, how many 40 plus guys do you see around you?
Hello friends, I am Avinash Khare, your host, and I welcome you to this series, Technocrat Talks. In this series, we will be dwelling on our blind spots, which have shackled our thinking and which have preconditioned our perceptions into a certain template. We have been suffering because of that. This we are doing through application of engineering sense and cold logic. Welcome to this analytical discussion. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe. Please press the bell icon to get the notifications. If you like the talk, please like it and share it with your friends, so that we increase the community of like-minded, curious minds to take the movement forward. Without much ado, let us start today's talk.
What are some of the common pressures that urban middle-class professionals face, and how do these pressures shape their behavior patterns?
See, urban middle class has certain characteristics inherent to them. They have certain tendencies. Like there is a big tendency to compare. So people compare themselves with others, with their peers, with their neighbors, with their classmates, in the matter of earnings, status, lifestyle. Even small differences can make them paranoid. For example, in earlier days, if somebody had a pack of visiting card and somebody did not have, even that was enough to give an inferiority complex. Okay. So these kind of small differences which they perceive, they used to attach very major weightage to these things. Somebody was given a company telephone, somebody is not given, so that used to be a point of discontention. Somebody has been sent abroad for training, somebody has not been, that becomes a point of contention. Somebody gets promoted 6 months before the other fellow, so the other fellow becomes paranoid. Even if the boys and girls do not compare, their parents do compare. Second problem is that they want to play safe. They will be risk averse. They will go with the herd, preferably the elitist herd, where automatically they reach higher places. Okay. And that's their way of guarding security. So after 10th standard, what is safe? After doing high school, okay, coming to engineering seems to be safer, so they come to engineering. After doing engineering, they again look at what is safest thing. To do MBA is safer, so okay, they do MBA. So in the process, they fail to promote their inherent interest. Somehow they don't pursue their hobbies, they don't pursue their interests with the kind of passion they ought to as a young person. So that passion and drive is lacking. And they tend to compromise too much. Compromise for what? For career? For package? for comparison. So they keep compromising, they keep adapting. They don't assert themselves. They are too meek, they chicken out whenever any challenging situation comes. They never catch the bull by horn. If situation become complicated, they will rather find an escape route and go to some place which appears to be more conducive, like going to US. They would not stay here and challenge the system, fight with the system, improve things here. They will find an easy shortcut. That's the character of middle class. So middle class is driven by the frenzy of these comparisons. So their career choices are also, they will not look at what I am interested in, what I am capable of doing, what I would like to do. They don't like anything by themselves. They see what other bright boys are doing. What other bright boys are doing, they will try to do that. So they will automatically get into that groove. They will get into that template. Now this is problem number one. Problem number two is, okay, they have high aspirations. Everybody has very high aspirations nowadays. Now his aspiration is he would like to marry an Aishwarya Rai, but he knows that that will not happen. It is not going to happen. So what is the way out? The way out is then you compromise. Whatever you get, believe that that is Aishwarya Rai. That's what happens. So beyond a point, they start liking what they get instead of getting what they like. The syndrome is like this. First of all, they don't know what they like. Secondly, if they know what they like, they also know that ye to milne wala nahi hai. And then the compromise is that you start liking whatever you get. That is the character of urban middle class professional. So initially they will keep fidgeting, they will keep jumping jobs, trying to find a better match. Then grudgingly they will settle down somewhere because they have to beyond certain point in time. And then beyond a point they start liking, they start justifying that this is the best thing which could have happened to me. To keep themselves happy. That's another mind game which they play with themselves. But in this all rigmarole, they forget about their own inherent creativity, their passion, their drive. They forego everything. And where they put the energies? In passing out a competitive exam. They will abandon their regular education, go to some quota, prepare for some competitive exam. And whatever they have learned there, they will forget after clearing that competitive exam. What has happened of that passion, that drive? Nothing. So, and in the process, what has got screwed up? Their inherent liking, their inherent interest, their inherent creativity. So, I mean, it is hard to find. I mean, you look at, I was looking other day, a website which publicized a list of some IITians who have done great in their career. Now, kudos to the fellows, they have really done great. But I was amazed to see that none of them have really excelled in the area of technology which IIT has taught them while they were there. They have excelled in something else. So, that is compromise, that is escapism, that is finding easy way out, that is adapting too much, that is not knowing what one was interested in to start with. It's a combination of all these.
How does the desire to join an elitist herd impact the career progression of urban middle class professionals?
They themselves restrict the choices for them. By trying to follow an elitist herd, they are following the herd irrespective of what they wanted. And they just flow with the system. Now, when they flow with that system, Okay, one thing is they will have to slog, they will have to work hard, they will have to compromise, all that they do. And they do well also in professional life like that sometimes. But in middle life, they start regretting, they start feeling bad, they start getting frustrated that what am I doing? Because they don't love the job that they do. So, I mean, they have to make do with it. But then that frustration, pent up frustration, comes and troubles sometimes in between, causing some discomfort. And that happens. And later that starts telling on their performance as well as creativity and their drive. And not to speak of their physical health also, because they compromise too much. They put in long hours. They neglect their exercise, they neglect sport. They neglect their daily pampering their own bodies. So it takes a toll on their health also later part of the life. So some way or the other it does affect finally the mental well-being. According to me, okay, status, money, all that is fine. The bottom line ought to be the happiness. After all this, are you happy? If you have to summarize life, that's how it should be. You have to ask this question: are you happy? If in the end you are not happy, everything is waste.
Why are urban middle class professionals risk averse? And how does this impact their decision making?
See, there is a phenomena actually. If you look at business communities, the communities who are usually successful in business, I mean, I would not name them, but we know the communities who are usually successful in business. So, if somebody is from certain communities, there are chances that he or she would be successful in business, not otherwise. But why so? Why only certain communities are known to do better in business? The big differentiator is in those communities, they have a mindset of taking risk. And there is a community support when somebody is taking business risk. And community solidly stands behind that individual when he is taking that risk. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen in all the other communities. Okay. So, if somebody, let us say, wants to become an entrepreneur or a businessman in a community which is known for doing service, so first of all, that guy will find it difficult to get married also, because nobody will have trust that this fellow will be earning enough to have a happy married life. So the problem will start there. The community will start doubting rather than supporting. And that tends to put a lot of pressure. Pressure to comply with the community norms. And the community norm is take a job. So you take a job, whatever it is. Okay. So you follow the community norms, you follow the herd instinct, you don't take risk, you limit your own possibilities, and you go in a groove. So we are ourselves severely clipping our feathers and limiting our own potentials.
It all depends on where you come from.
Yes. Whether the community, whether the family is supportive of you, whether the family or community is supporting of your risk taking, or they are themselves risk averse. They want you to play safe.
Can you speak to the phenomenon of urban middle class professionals quitting and migrating elsewhere? And what factors contribute to this trend?
The societal factors that are contributing to this, first, there are categories in the people who migrate. The category number one are class 1 technocrats who want to do technology work, and in India they don't get to do it, therefore they quit. Okay. Probably it is justified to some extent because brain drain is better than brain down the drain. So, okay, we can pardon that community because we don't have enough opportunities for them here as of now. So, fine. Then there are others who want to migrate because everybody else is migrating. Because of this comparison business. In their lane, in their colony, all the young boys and girls have migrated, therefore they also ought to migrate. Now that is the herd instinct. So everybody is going, so if somebody doesn't go, then he is automatically underrated and frowned upon, that this fellow is not worth looking at because he could not make it, apparently. Nobody will believe that genuinely he did not want to go. They will infer that conveniently that, okay, he is not up to the mark, therefore take back. So that stigma comes. So to avoid that, they would rather follow the suit. And okay, one is to desire, the desire to settle in a foreign land and earn in forex and then eventually get a green card there and not come back. Now that is a phenomena which has been happening because of lifestyle, because of certain perceptions which may be right or wrong. Because we all know, we all discuss those who have gone there, but we know very little what do they actually do there. So there is always, I mean, okay, they are hiding behind a cloud. But we assume that all must be hunky-dory there, which may or may not be the case. But it's a phenomena which does happen. And I mean, as I said, youngsters compare themselves with their classmates and all. So they find in their batch of 80 boys and girls, some 60, 70 have already quit. And you are the last 10 who are still remaining here. So it puts a pressure on them. Okay. Unless because of some family reason they are not able to go, they would rather try and go. But it's not always a wise thing, it's not always a gainful thing also. But then that's what the trend is. It's a blind game, following the herd. Basically, see, there is a saying, if you don't get what you deserve, you start deserving what you get. The bright boys feel we don't deserve them. So whatever we get is what we deserve. If we have to take it with a pinch of salt, we like it or not.
How do urban middle class professionals view the idea of compromise and adaptation in their personal and professional lives?
It's the way of life actually. So they actually don't think too much while doing it. They have been conditioned into doing that right from their childhood days. They wanted to play, but they get compromised to throw themselves at books. So that's where it starts. It becomes a habit later. So compromising becomes a habit for them. So then they don't think too much about compromising. They don't feel bad also. It becomes their habit. Certainly if they don't compromise, it would be much better for them and for the country also. But then, okay, nobody tells them that and they don't realize that. And if they realize also, they may not value it. So it's a question of value system, it's a question of mindset, it's a question of pressures, family pressures, community pressure, whatever. See, in our kind of culture, we have grown up not having dignity of hard work, not having respect for technology and technocrats. So now, for somebody to change it is a big challenge. Why would leadership do it? Because that's not something that will fetch them votes. So how would it happen is only by slow and steady realization, maybe. When you are pitted against some other cultures, then you realize it hard way that yes, this is where we lack. But until such time, those who migrate abroad, they realize it fast. Because they get a jolt when they land there. So they come to terms. See, in India, there is a curious thing. If there is no system, we start howling that there is no system, there ought to be system. But when there is a system, we don't want to follow it. And we look for shortcuts. Similarly, we expect that everybody should follow all the rules. Everybody should be compliant. Everybody should respect the queue. Everybody should stand in the queue and work as per system. But given a choice, we ourselves would like to bypass the queue. This is a tendency. Because, I have seen in some part of India that people jumping the queue is a matter of pride. There is a terrible tendency to jump a queue. People don't want to stand in the queue. So that's again a character of urban middle class. From others we expect everything, but we ourselves want to cut corners, we want to take shortcut, we want to jump the ladder, want to reach there fast.
What is your perspective on the statement that young people don't know what they want until they have it? How does this relate to the urban middle class?
Many times younger people do not realize what they want in life. They only learn what they don't like after getting it. Okay. So if you ask somebody what you want, he will be indifferent. Okay, everything is okay for me. See, the problem is they are not themselves considering various possibilities. So whatever possibilities are there, they do not have the awareness of the pro and cons in advance. They don't evaluate pro and cons, and based on that they decide. They don't decide nothing actually, they just flow with the herd. And eventually they end up somewhere and then they feel, ye main kahan aa gaya? This is not what I wanted.
Can you discuss the glass ceiling that urban middle class professionals face in their career progression and what impact it has on their lives?
Yeah. See, basically good organizations, professional organizations take pride in saying that in our organization the best performers have no limit, you can reach any level. But that's all bakwas. There is always a glass ceiling. A general middle class entrant can only rise whatever he does up to certain level, and then his head hits the glass ceiling. Now the thing is, if somebody is a slow and steady riser, he will take enough time. By the time he hits the glass ceiling, there will be time to retire. So he will retire gracefully as general manager or somebody. Okay, because that would be the glass ceiling level. Beyond that, you have to be somebody to go further, right? Now what happens that a so-called fast performer, fast career rise guy will take off vertically. So he'll have a very quick rise, steep rise. By the time he is in 40s, he would have hit the glass ceiling already. And then what will happen to him or her? He or she can't rise any further. So he or she will get thrown out of the glass ceiling and he or she will land into nowhere. Because after being a general manager in some company, no company will take him or her as a senior manager, even if he or she wants. So 40s is not an age to retire. By that time, his or her liabilities would not be over. And the rate at which he or she has been rising, it gives rise to a belief that he or she will keep earning at that same rate. So they will splurge, they will book swanky flats or bungalows, and those EMIs would still be ticking. And then this event happens suddenly, abruptly, unexpectedly. Actually, why it ought to be unexpected is a mystery to me. It's happening so often, people should know it by now. You look around in the company where you are working, how many 40 plus guys do you see around you? You can make out. So, what has happened to those guys who have crossed 40? Question that, and you will know what has happened. So, suddenly you are going great, and suddenly you are nowhere. And after that, what does one do? If you have saved enough money, you would start something on your own, you become an entrepreneur or startup, or you become a consultant, or a trainer, or a teacher, or something. That's all you can do. But you are out of the corporate rat race, you are out of circulation, and that puts a lot of pressure on the family and on the style of living and all. Yeah.
Why do you think that there is political apathy towards the urban middle class? And what can be done to address this issue?
In democracy, particularly in India, leaders have been in love with poor. So all their focus and initiatives have been directed towards pro-poor schemes, pro-farmer schemes. Generally, middle class is taken for granted that yes, they will always be paying taxes, come what may. And they will always manage themselves, they will find some way, they will migrate or do something and still make the two ends meet and still pay tax. Okay. So, generally, politicians have been royally neglecting the middle class, though it forms the backbone of economy. And fortunately, so far what has happened is, it has happened also that the middle class has survived all those challenges so far. Because some decades back, average urban middle class citizen used to be employed in some XYZ office doing 9 to 5 job in cities. Now all those kind of jobs have evaporated away. Stenos, typists, accountants, thanks to computerization, all those jobs have vanished. But urban middle class has found IT as the escape route. Fortunately, IT has boomed. So that has substituted the jobs which were earlier there. So the earning has continued. But I dread to think tomorrow if IT bubble bursts, God forbid. Some automation software starts developing software, start doing coding. Then what happens to urban middle class? Where from they get their bread and butter? That is what the policy makers have to seriously consider. They can't take any longer the urban middle class for granted. And it's time that urban middle class needs their patronage, a thoughtful policy for themselves. Because otherwise it will be a very big fiasco one day. I can cite some comments from politicians when they were questioned that suppose this happens. They said, so what, then what will happen? Okay, they will stop earning, so they will come below poverty line. We have a lot of scheme for people below poverty line. Now, if this statement is comforting you, I leave it to you.
Well, with this, we have come to the end of today's talk. Please take this movement forward. Please share it with your friends. Open Mind is an engineer's workshop, and our goal is to engineer our future. Please press the bell icon to get further notifications. Please like if you have liked the talk, and please do let us have your feedback, your ideas, your comments, your suggestions. Hope to see you in the next talk, Technocrat Talks. Till then, be happy, enjoy. See you next time. Bye-bye.